up guys, it's Scarlett, and in this video I'm going to be debunking the New Age to Jesus testimonial phenomenon. So I've been seeing a lot of videos about people who were in the New Age and claim to have a lot of nightmarish experiences, demonic experiences, and claim that the New Age is some sort of false light and that it's deceptive and that the only true God is Christ and Jesus and the only true religion is Christianity. So a little bit about me. I grew up in a Muslim household, very strict traditional Islamic upbringing, and when I was in high school I was in a Catholic high school, a all-girls Catholic high school, which my family preferred to put me in just because they thought it would be more conservative, only girls, etc. And what happened to me was when I grew up with all this doctrine of the Quran and these specific teachings, a lot of different stories in the Quran and different rules, etc. It's one God, and there's a lot of stories very similar to the Bible, the story of Moses, Abraham, etc. So when I went to Catholic school in high school, we had to go to Mass, and I started learning about the Catholic religion. And through me being in this Catholic school, I began to be confused. And I was never really super religious, but that was kind of my awakening of realization that there's different religions, and seeing how these people in the high school, in this Catholic high school, practiced their religion was very culture shock, because it was very, very similar to Islam, in my opinion. There's a lot of the same stories. They also have their worship. Their books also claim there's a right God and there's the devil, and that, this is the right religion, everyone else goes to hell, etc. So naturally, being confused, that was one of the very first things in my spiritual awakening, and seeing that, I've always felt and believed in God, but, maybe there's more research that needs to be done. So eventually I had my spiritual awakening, as I talked about in one of my other videos, and my religion became spirituality, and it became my personal connection to God, because while there was all these different books and different doctrines that I wasn't sure about, what I could be sure about was what I felt. And that is how a lot of people come to that conclusion, come to the quote-unquote New Age, is you begin practicing meditation, yoga, and these different practices, and they give you this sense of connection. You start feeling like you are this antenna, and you begin to receive messages, and sort of the world starts synchronizing and things start making sense. From there, of course, I went into more advanced yogic practices and tantra, and this is what this whole channel is about, is sharing the platform of tantra and these esoteric yogic practices that are among the most powerful. So I want to break down a bit these different arguments from the New Age to Jesus movement, and why what these people are perceiving is not actually what they say it is. So a lot of these different videos, these people claim that they start meditating or doing yoga and they have some sort of demonic experience. They also claim that through meditation one opens oneself up to dark entities and to deception. So this is one of the most bizarre things that I've heard in this argument, because meditation is simply going inside yourself. When you meditate, you're breathing, you're watching your breath, you're watching your thoughts, you're the observer, and you're simply going inside. Most of the time people are distracted, they're watching TV, they're on their phones, etc. And meditation is the time where you cut away all your distractions, all the things that people do to keep from feeling their feelings and from really knowing what it is they want, what it is they feel, confronting traumas, etc. All that stuff happens in meditation when people are not distracted. So essentially what these people are saying is that simply the act of not being distracted is demonic. And this is very nonsensical because, believe it or not, we meditate a lot in a lot of different ways. We meditate by going on a bike ride, that's a meditation. Going running is a meditation. Anytime you're with your mind, people who like long motorcycle rides, that can be a form of meditation. So anytime that someone is turning off the mind and just connecting inside and breathing, being with themselves, is a meditation. So how could it possibly be demonic to connect with oneself? It doesn't make any sense, right? And yoga is simply an expansion of meditation. Yoga is meditation in movement. And most of what the West experiences is yoga in the form of physical exercise. It's a bit of a watered down yoga. It's a good thing because it's a gateway into the deeper spiritual devotional practices. But yoga, which most people use as a workout, has also been claimed now to be demonic. And how can simply moving your body and breathing and working on your body be claimed to be demonic? It doesn't make sense, right? And they claim, well, yoga comes from a tradition where there's demon worship or goddess worship. So it's a bit of taking things with a grain of truth and twisting it around. So yoga, the actual devotional yoga, comes from Hinduism and from these practices where there are in fact deities, there's gods and goddesses, and they claim that this is very it's deceptive because the only God is Christ, and you cannot be engaging in something where there's other deities. And there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to these deities that are proposed to be demonic, etc. For example, a lot of people think the goddess Kali is demonic because she's shown, with these severed heads and things like that, not knowing that all these deities can actually be perceived as a personification. They're given qualities, and not everyone who practices yoga is required to, or in fact devoting themselves to any deity. That's something that you would have to do with a specific intention, and a lot of spiritual practices are your intention. So you're not going to be engaging in a demonic practice simply by taking a yoga class. However, as you often see in these Abrahamic religions and in Christianity, there's a lot of fear, and fear is what these people use to keep you from questioning. Most people who explore spirituality, all these people with their testimonials, they are exploring spirituality because there was something in their spirit that wanted to know God and wants to connect with God. And they might take one bad experience or have something sort of supernatural happen and claim that this is the fault of the New Age and the New Age is demonic. The truth is, a lot of the time when some people are gifted, some people have more advanced souls, and sometimes just through a few meditations in yoga, their third eye, right here, their intuition, or two different points people claim are the third eye, but their intuition will open, and you may see things like orbs or colors, and all these things are always there. They're always there, but you're just not seeing them. So even spirits and entities and things like that, how many people do you know? I'm sure anyone can name at least one person they know that's had an experience with a spirit or feeling things. So these things are always in our realities, and it's not about you call them or you create them by meditating or doing yoga or spirituality. You're simply opening your eyes to see what was there the whole time. When these people have this dark experience, say they meditate and say, some people, for example, they might be sleeping and they begin to feel a presence by their bed, or they begin to feel something dark. And these things are attracted to you when you have some sort of impurity. So when you begin a spiritual practice and you begin to look at the self, and you open your third eye and you open your intuition, you open your perception, you may have more volatile experiences. So people who begin to maybe have dark things attracted to them, these things will only be attracted to people who have some sort of weakness, some sort of darkness within them that's being reflected out in their reality. So it's sort of like a dog, when the dog can smell your fear, and because of that it comes to attack you. So these things are really just forcing a person to evolve and purify themselves. And the spiritual world is not only demons, it's not only darkness. That wouldn't make any sense, right? Our world has light and dark. Everything's duality, the yin yang. There's good people, there's bad people. You can't say all spirits are bad, because you can't say that all people are bad. To claim that something is all dark or all awful would be very one-sided and biased. The most balanced people are balanced in their perspective and acknowledge that everything has its light and its dark. Even if you look at the church and the various church scandals, you can be the most light place and experience darkness because of human fallibility to sin and to deception. So there's just a lot of different things that these people are claiming that are very erratic if you think about it. For example, in this one video, this girl's talking about crystals and saying that simply having crystals near her felt like it was attracting dark spirits. Crystals are simply minerals. So if you're afraid to even have minerals and a piece of the earth near you, which there's crystal plates within the earth, within our soil and earth, there's natural crystals, there's sand, crystals. So how can you be afraid of a piece of the earth? And really what happens is that these people psych themselves out. They open up their perception, they're not ready, maybe their kundalini rises too quickly, so they blame all of spirituality rather than looking at themselves and looking at, well, why is this happening, or what is this dark thing? They run away in fear and they go back to their familiarity, to what they knew. And a lot of these people, of course, already grew up in a Christian religion, and that's their safety. But if we want to talk about really being unbiased and balanced and critical thinking, the argument that Christians have is that the Bible is correct because it's the Bible. But why is the Bible the correct one and not the Quran or the Torah or whatever? Is it only the correct book because you were raised in that religion? So there's a reason when people begin to think critically why they wander into looking into different spiritual practices, and that's because the true religion and the true divinity never came along and picked one people and one book and said, you guys win, everyone else loses. That's how we have these wars and this hatred and racism and discrimination, is that line of thinking that, we just got special and found God and no one else did. So true religion is when you go into your heart. If you can't even trust your own heart and your own intuition, then who can you trust? Because that's what a lot of people take advantage of, is the priests and politicians. They take advantage of people who are afraid and want to outsource their power to someone else. They want to ask somebody else, hey, who's God? What do I do? And from there, of course, we have control, we have rules, we have different guidelines. You have to be married in a certain way, you have to do certain things. So in a lot of ways, this organized religion is the foundation of structure in society and of keeping people within a specific matrix, within a specific system. So I've been challenged personally with some of my friends who are very Christian. I was actually part of a Bible study group simply because I connect a lot with Christ. I believe that He is the child of God, but I also believe we're all the children of God. And of course, Christians don't really like that. And somehow somebody in the group, somebody in the Bible study group found my YouTube and shared it. And I was basically exposed as a spiritual person, and they're like, oh, what's Tantra? Why are you following this, etc. And then it no longer became a feeling of really being included in this group. I like the lessons that come from the Bible, but I'm very objective. I know that there's a lot of things that are not meant to be taken literally in the Bible, because if you did, it doesn't apply to this time even, the language and things like that. So my perspective and what I believe the world is evolving to is, rather than us condemning other religions and being like, I'm right, you're wrong, we can turn religion into traditions. So I believe in celebrating religion, celebrating traditions, and rather than exclusion, finding the universal truth that weaves through all of them. Because when you begin to study a lot of religions, as I have, you begin to see this kind of repetition, and what you really discover is that heaven and hell do exist, but they are dimensions. They're places you ascend to through your deeds or descend to through your misdeeds. And religion is not incorrect, it's just been misused. So if people think critically and allow themselves to look at books, why are you okay with reading the Bible but not looking at these Gnostic Gospels? Did you know how the Bible was assembled? Did you know that they chose which books to put in the Bible and take them out? Why are you so sure that the Bible is the only book, and all the books currently in the Old Testament and New Testaments are the only ones that are valid? So if your religion is coming from fear and not questioning and thinking that God is going to punish you if you explore other realms of thought, then you will stay and remain where you are, but there will always be a sense within that something is not exactly accurate, and that there will always be this desire to know more. That's why a lot of people within these fundamental Christian communities are very afraid of even the idea, like don't even do yoga, don't even try. And fear is not our natural state. Our natural state is bliss and peace. I've even been challenged by some of my fundamental Christian friends that say, well, I told them, okay, I will pray with you, and I will pray if I'm wrong or if I'm misled. I will pray to Jesus with you, and if I'm wrong, I will pray that I'm led to the right path and pray for clarity and truth. And I've done this several times where I prayed, please, if yoga and New Age, it's actually not New Age because these are ancient practices before Constantine and Christianity was established. But anyways, I prayed, for clarity. If I'm wrong, please guide me. And all I have discovered through that prayer is that my truth is more and more affirmed and confirmed, because my truth and my faith does not come from a book. My truth and faith comes from me. It comes from my perception. It's confirmed. And that's the beautiful thing about Tantra and the yogic path, is you're not outsourcing your power, you're not guessing, you're not believing in theory and dogma. You only believe your experience. That's a big part about Tantra, is you only believe as much as your experience shows you. And that's what happens on the yogic path, is you get experience after experience after experience, and that's what creates your faith. It's like, okay, I've been through this before, I've experienced this, and your intuition and your wisdom and everything just expands, and it's aligned, and you just see, okay, this is true. As opposed to Abrahamic religions and Christianity, you're kind of gambling on something outside of you, and you are putting your faith in a book and in preachers and in what people are telling you, but you're not really listening to your true self, because your heart always knows the truth, and all you have to do is sit with your heart, and the truth will reveal itself to you. So for this video, I'm really just urging you to have an open mind, to think for yourself, to really sit with yourself. Do not be afraid to meditate, because to meditate is to connect with your own self. And ask yourself if you're seeing the truth or if you're only seeing partial truth. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.